Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. I am Ryan Wormeli, joined today by Joe Pisapia, and by Andrew Erickson. Fellas, it is Super Bowl week. I am, of course, putting on a brave face because my Ravens are not in the Super Bowl. We can move right on past that, though. We are going to be talking about some predictions here for the Super Bowl. Normally, we've been giving you 5 predictions each. Since there's only, obviously, the one game to talk about this week, we're going to knock that number down to 3 each from our analysts. So we're going to go 3-1, alternating between the two of them, and give you our 6 predictions for Super Bowl week. You can go bet these and try and win some money here for Chiefs 49ers. Before we get into that, let's talk about how last round's predictions went. Erickson had a couple of hits. Pacheco over 63.5 rushing yards. Rashee Rice over 6.5 receptions. The Lions covering. Erickson, of course, also had many misses. The Chiefs did not establish the run beyond Pacheco. Lamar was under 212 passing yards. Was his bet. He went over on that, of course. And then all the over on passing numbers on Lions 49ers, they were all close. He did not hit any of those. And also Gibbs going over 100 yards on offense. He did not hit as well. Erickson, which one of those would you take back if you could?
It's been so long since that game. It's
one extra week, and it's just happened. Out of mind.
Yeah, but then I've been doing the work on the prospects and the NFL draft. I'm looking at the Patriots picking number 3 overall. It's like, I'm just ready for the Super Bowl to happen at this point. I'm looking ahead to the future. I'm not looking back. So let's get to these picks.
Do you think they should go back to the not having this week in between? I get why they made this change. I actually kind of agree that I think it's just too long of a wait.
But there was always a week in between, wasn't there?
Not always.
A few times they didn't do it, but the logistics of the moving pieces of everybody going down there, as if they don't know where the Super Bowl is, or during the playoffs, as if they don't do this anyway. But it's all about milking it for as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, it won't change, but I kind of wish it would sometimes. Joe, you had a couple hits as well. Matabike did get a half sack. Chiefs money line, you were all over. Christian McCaffrey over 36.5 receiving yards hit as well. And then you missed on Lamar rushing yards. You just barely missed that one, but he was about 5 yards short. Mahomes over 1.5 touchdowns. Mahomes was good, but he didn't get to 2 passing touchdowns. And then you had over 7.5 receptions for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had 7.
So close, Ryan. So close. But that's okay.
Chiefs. A lot of the misses this week were really close.
Yeah. Well, underdog Chiefs, Ryan. I've been riding that wave, and guess what?
Yes, you have.
Uncle Joe's going to be riding that all the way through Sunday as well.
Yes, I think a lot of people are, finally getting on board the underdog Mahomes stop betting against him train. Let's jump into our predictions here for the big game. I just want to mention to everybody, we have the Super Bowl 58 contest on Betting Pros, so be sure to go check that out on bettingpros.com. Check it out on the app. Get in on that contest. Erickson is involved. Joe is involved. They have their bets in there. You want to go try and beat them and win some cool stuff. Again, that's the Betting Pros Super Bowl 58 contest. Erickson, let's jump right in here with your number 3 prediction.
I think that the Chiefs are going to win Super Bowl 58 by a score of 24-17. So that means I'm leaning towards the under in the game overall, but I do think the Chiefs come out with the win. Look, the way I look at it, a lot of times it's always, this team has the best quarterback, but this is the better team overall. But the way I look at this game is the Chiefs have the better quarterback, and they're also the team that's playing better overall. So I'm trying to still figure out, why they're underdogs still. I get, if you look at the entire sample of both teams throughout the year, I understand then why the 49ers will come out on top in a neutral field. But doesn't it make more sense to weigh what we've seen recently in the playoffs in the second half? Basically, since Christmas, the Chiefs have been a good offense and an elite defense. So I'm still trying to figure out how and why. And the thing that always strikes me, it's super odd, is so the 49ers are favorites, and yet Brock Purdy for MVP is not the shortest odds for MVP, when we know the Super Bowl MVP almost always goes to the quarterback on the winning team. So explain to me, like I'm 12, why those odds are like that, guys. So for me, I'm just going to continue to roll with the Chiefs here. And for that reason, I'm going to go under on Patrick Mahomes' rushing yardage prop. I don't think it's going to be a game where we see a marquee Mahomes performance. I really don't. I think this is where he does enough as kind of like a pseudo game manager. Again, you don't want to put Mahomes and game manager in the same sentence, but that's kind of how he's been with the defense dominating for the Kansas City Chiefs. So 49ers don't blitz. They're lowest blitz rate. So I don't think you're going to see Mahomes running around a lot. 8 of the last 10 quarterbacks the 49ers face have gone under their rushing yards projection. He's gone under 25.5 rushing yards in last 2 playoff games. He's also gone under in 5 of his last 7 postseason games played. So I know the narrative of Mahomes is, oh, he always breaks out the rushing. Well, that's when he's trying to put up 30 points. I don't think they need to put up 30 points to win this game. I don't think they will. So for me, I'm going to take the under on 25.5 rushing yards in a Chiefs win.
Joe, I don't think any of your upcoming predictions are about the actual who wins the game. So what do you think about this one? Chiefs winning by a touchdown. I mean, to Erickson's point, clearly the better quarterback, clearly the better defense. I mean, Spags versus Brock Purdy. Like, I'm kind of confused why the Chiefs are underdogs here.
Well, I think it's because Vegas wants action on the game. And if the Chiefs were heavy favorites, I don't think they're going to get the action they want. So make them just a bit of an underdog, just enough to wet our beak, as they used to say in my old neighborhood in Brooklyn growing up. I'm explaining it to you like you're a 12-year-old, Erickson, because that's what you asked for.
Thank you.
But I do have a prediction here later on that is part of what I think is the way this game's going to go. And spoiler alert, everybody, it's the same train that I've been on for the last 2 games as well throughout the playoffs. So I think you know where I'm going when all's said and done. But I like this where Erickson's saying, too, if you don't blitz Mahomes, you let him sit in the pocket, probably not going to get out there too much in space. And if you let him sit in the pocket, I think that's going to be a long day at the office for the 49ers.
To Erickson, your point about those under on the rushing yards, Chiefs only scored 17 in the AFC Championship game against the Ravens, and Mahomes he was at 15 rushing yards. So when they're not trying to get up into that high 20s, 30s game, he's not breaking out the scrambles quite as much. If you guys are looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings currently has the big game with a total at 47.5 points, and the San Francisco 49ers are favored by just 2 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. As a Ravens fan, I learned the hard way recently what it's like to face Patrick Mahomes when he's an underdog. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but either way, this should be an awesome game. Of course, it is the big game. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code FantasyPros. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code FantasyPros. The crown is yours. Joe, give me your number 3 prediction here.
Well, I'm going to start with what I know, and that is that Travis Kelce is going to see a lot of targets in this game. I think Kelce is going to get over 100 yards receiving in this game. He looks like a guy who's just refreshed and renewed these last few weeks in the playoffs. It was a very disappointing, and let's not forget, also injury-riddled season for Travis Kelce. He started the year hurt, had some other injuries that kind of plagued him throughout. I think he's finally healthy. I think he is feeling confident. I think this team has flipped the switch at the right time, and that's what some of these teams do sometimes. This team has been there, done that before. They understand what it takes, and I think this extra week off for Kelce, too, who's a little bit older of a player, too, at this stage in his career, also does wonders for those veterans, and he is a veteran, like it or not, right now. So the way I want to take advantage of the Travis Kelce 100-yard receiving game is Travis Kelce 25-plus receiving yards in each half of the game. You can get this at plus 110 right now, and you throw in the anytime touchdown scorer as well at plus 100. I love the combination of these things. I do think Kelce finds the end zone in this game. I don't think the 49ers are going to have an answer for him, to be honest, from seeing what I've seen out of them from the cornerbacks this year. And I think that Kelce, especially this 25 yards receiving in each half, I mean, this to me is a very easy, low number that he doesn't even have to get to 100 to get this. But I think the consistency of his involvement in the offense leads me to liking this. Again, the juice is just about right. It's just on the plus side of things. That's a good thing. So this to me is one of the safer bets you can make, and you can even put 2 or 3 units on it, as opposed to looking for some things that might be a little bit more in the 4 or 5 to 1 range that are super sexy and fun. At the end of the day, I want to make some money on this game. I think Kelce is the surefire way to do that.
I think this is the best bet any of you guys picked this week. I'm totally in lockstep. It really, I'm not the first person to point this out, but it really feels like late stage Tom Brady era Patriots, where you know you can kind of save the Gronks of the world. I mean, tight end is such a violent position. We were doing the Dynasty show recently, and every single tight end in the top 60 of the Dynasty rankings was born in the 90s or 2000s, except for Travis Kelce. Like, being this age, playing this position this highly is so rare that if you can kind of give him a little bit of a break during the season, save him for the playoffs when you know your season doesn't even start until the championship game, that, I think that's kind of what they've been doing. I would be very scared of the Kelce if I was a 49ers fan. I think he's going to have a good game. Erickson, you have a prediction on Kelce coming up later, so we'll talk to you about him when we get to that. Give me your number 2 prediction here now.
I mentioned it, teased it a little bit before when we were talking about the Chiefs coming up with the win 24-17. I think this game's going to go under. 47.5 total points. The total has not moved at all from what I've seen since it opened, whenever the matchup was finally set in stone. And again, this is a matchup where the Chiefs are a defensive team. Like, this isn't the Mahomes, oh, we're going to put up 30. It's going to be a wild shootout. And you have Brock Purdy coming in against a really tough defensive coordinator against an elite defense. The Chiefs have not lost a game where they've allowed 17 points on defense. So again, if you like the Chiefs in this game, like I do, it's most likely to be accompanied by an underplay. Like, if the Chiefs win, this game's not going over the total. It's not going to be a shootout with Mahomes. Mahomes has thrown for 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns one time this year. Once. Like, this isn't a team that's built to win shootout. So if the 49ers win, okay, it's probably more high scoring and the under bet's not going to come in. But the fact that I'm so confident, or I feel confident about the Chiefs backing them, I think that entails, if you like the Chiefs, you should be also looking at the under total. You look at these two teams, they've averaged 43.5 points on average this year. The total is 47.5. It's not even close. It's not even the same stratosphere. So I just think the number is just too high. It's based on it's Mahomes. Like, they're going to score enough points, when if you've watched the Chiefs at all this year, they're not a Mahomes-driven team. It's let's run the football, let's play defense. So I like the under in this game. And for that reason, I'm going under on my prop. Brandon Ayuk under 4.5 catches. He only has 3 catches last 3 games. Chiefs have allowed the 6th fewest completions to wide receivers this season. And when you look at Brandon Ayuk, he's their big play threat downfield. So if Ayuk is going to beat us, it's probably going to be through receiving yardage, not necessarily receptions through passing volume with Brock Purdy, because there's just so many other weapons that they can feed the ball to in the 49ers offense. So even though he could get a ton of yards on some big plays, I think under 4.5 receptions is the move to make with Brandon Ayuk in a game that I think is going to go under the total.
Joe, you've got more on the outcome later, but what do you think about the total here, 47.5 on DraftKings?
Well, of course, as usual, I disagree with Andrew Erickson, which makes this show fun. I think this is going to go over, but not by much. I got a final of 28-20 in this game. And ironically, the number one prop bet you can make, which is over on DraftKings right now on our Betting Pros app, is Brandon Ayuk over this 4.5, and you're getting plus 120 on it. So it might be threading the needle, but if you can get to 5, that's a really nice return on investment. And I think depending on the true health there of some other guys on this offense, I could see Ayuk doing that. So I understand Erickson's good reasoning for potentially this being underwhelming, but I want to throw back to him. These are two teams where they've been here before for the most part. You know, a lot of the guys on this roster are not that different from the last time these two teams met. Some are, but again, as far as the coach and the quarterback on the Kansas City Chiefs go, you know, I feel very confident that the stage is not too big for them. And Kyle Shanahan and company have been here before. The big difference is Christian McCaffrey. I know we're going to talk to him in a second, but I got to tell you, like, I still feel like this game is not going to drag in the beginning. And I think when the teams come out flat, when it's sort of that, you know, we're kind of throwing jabs at each other, but everybody's got the adrenaline pumping. I feel like that's for teams basically who haven't really been there much. I don't know if that's going to be the case for these two teams in this contest on Sunday.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of times the Patriots, when they were always in the Super Bowl, what always happened? Really, really slow starts because they've been there before. So I'm throwing it back at you. That teams have been here before.
Slow starts for an offense that still towards the end did not have a lot of playmakers. So it's easy to have slow starts when you don't have a lot of people to help out.
I mean, the Chiefs are not littered with playmakers on offense. They're a defensive team.
Yeah, they are a certain defensive team at this point. Yes, I won't dismiss that.
For what it's worth, for their last 3 appearances, you know, in the Mahomes era, Kansas City has 31 points, 9 points, and then 38 points. So they've largely been pretty good. That game against the 49ers, which of course this is the rematch, different teams, obviously, but that was 31-20. So that one did go over. Joe, I want to ask you a question. What would you do if you were in Vegas and had an extra $100 to spend? Is there a restaurant you always wanted to try, a show you wanted to see? Are you putting it all on red? What are you doing with that extra $100?
I'm putting it all on the Chiefs, baby. And maybe I'm splitting 50 on the Chiefs and Mahomes MVP and just kind of making the most of my money. That sounds like good to me. And maybe I'll take Erickson out for a drink with my winnings, maybe.
Erickson, what are you doing with your extra $100 if you're plopped into Vegas and have it in your pocket?
Just make sure it's a Shirley Temple, Joe. It's my favorite.
I know. Extra Shirley, easy on the Temple. Yeah.
Well, everybody listening can actually feel like they do have an extra $100 to spend when they use Game Time. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for everything, including the big game, of course. And right now, when you buy a ticket to the big one, users can get $100 off with code VEGAS100. I love using Game Time to buy all my tickets because they make it so easy. I've bought everything from comedy show tickets to playoff games. I've always gotten the lowest price with Game Time, and I've had the easiest time doing it. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Plus, my favorite feature, their all-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you even check out. All that, and it only takes seconds to buy with just 2 taps. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Right now, all Game Time users get $100 off a big game ticket with code VEGAS100. Terms apply. Just download the Game Time app and use code VEGAS100 for $100 off a big game ticket. Or if you're not going to the game, use code FantasyPros for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Joe, give me your number 2 prediction for the big game.
All right, number 2 is, as I mentioned before, the big difference between this version of the 49ers is not Brock Purdy that we saw last time in the Super Bowl. It was Jimmy Garoppolo. They're practically the Spider-Man meme. It's Christian McCaffrey. That's the big difference here. So you better utilize Christian McCaffrey. And I think McCaffrey will go over 80 yards rushing in this game. I think that's the key here. If you are going to be Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, you got to keep them off the field as much as you possibly can. Grind some clock and make sure you're trying to drown that clock as much as you possibly can and drain it. That way you have a chance here. And I understand, the 49ers are a very high-octane offense sometimes, and they can really get going. But I think a little bit of discipline here would be really wise for them, especially early in this game. And there's a prop attached to this that I really like a lot, which is Christian McCaffrey, 35 plus rushing yards in each half, and you're getting minus 110 on this, plus also first touchdown scorer at plus 330 you can add into this for a little fun too. So I think the 49ers will be good in their first drive. Now, whether or not that defense of the Kansas City Chiefs that Erickson talked about slows them down, that's possible, in which case you're getting for a field goal in the first drive for the 49ers plus 400 or plus 450 even in some sites. So keep that in mind. I do think the 49ers will get points right away because I do think they will be prepared on that first drive, and I think that's something that you can kind of take to the bank literally. So Christian McCaffrey, though, 35 plus yards rushing in each half, though, just like that Kelce prop. To me, this is a low number. This is something that you can really sink your teeth into, and he's going to touch the football as much as humanly possible because they need him to, frankly. Like, this is how you keep that defense tired in Kansas City. This is how you keep them on their heels a little bit. To me, the Kansas City Chiefs defense has played very well down the stretch and into the playoffs here, and Christian McCaffrey is that difference maker. So get the ball in his hands as often as possible. There's no tomorrow. There's no other game to play for. This is it. This is Christian McCaffrey's first Super Bowl. It could be his only Super Bowl. So get him the ball in his hands, and I think, once again, I'm taking advantage of this early number here, this easy number, this low number you're getting, and I think when you throw in some fun, too, whether it be anytime touchdown score, unfortunately, is a little juiced. Maybe first touchdown score plus 330 is the way to really make some money.
Joe, am I to understand that the way to beat the Chiefs is to run on them? Because I don't think Todd Monken got that memo.
No, and you would think with a team like the Ravens would want to run the football, but look, that postmortem is a whole other show. That postmortem for you is a whole other show. But I can tell you're not bitter, which is nice.
No, not even a little bit. No. Erickson, most of your predictions are on the Chiefs side, so I want to get your opinion. What do you expect out of McCaffrey this week?
I mean, I expect him to have a big game, and the fact that when I mentioned it earlier, it seems like he's going to win MVP if the 49ers win. Like, why are the odds they are with Brock Purdy not being the favorite based on the Chiefs being underdogs and the 49ers being favorites? We see this all the time. Like, the winner of the Super Bowl goes to the quarterback of the winning team, but the odds are suggesting, well, maybe it's going to be McCaffrey. And that's how I would play it. Like, if I was betting on the 49ers to win, I would bet on McCaffrey to win MVP, not Brock Purdy.
Well, you've got a different Super Bowl MVP for your final prediction here.
Yes, because I don't think the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl, so that's irrelevant because it's always going to go to the winning team. I think only one time it hasn't, and that's just never going to happen again. So Travis Kelce is going to win Super Bowl MVP. Now, again, all of my picks are kind of I would say correlated because I'm going with what I think is going to happen. I think that it's going to be more of a defensive struggle. Look at the last 4 unders in the Super Bowl. The quarterbacks have not won the Super Bowl MVP in those 4 games. So if the game goes under the total, you're looking at, okay, it's probably going to be a non-quarterback. At least history has shown us that. And we know that this is a narrative award. Who has a better narrative than Travis Kelce? It's potentially his last game, rumored to be mulling retirement. Again, and he's also making the case for, I can be the greatest tight end of all time. No tight end has ever won Super Bowl MVP. Not Gronk, not any of these other tight ends have ever won Super Bowl MVP. He would be the first one to ever do it. And we've seen receivers do it for a lot of different teams. Again, like I mentioned in the games, most recently, Cooper Kupp has won it. Julian Edelman has won it. So I think that the fact that Mahomes, he already has 2 Super Bowl MVPs under his belt. The voters are like, hey, let's spread the love with this Chiefs dynasty. How do we credit Travis Kelce in this scenario? And it's, let's give him Super Bowl MVP. He walks off into the sunset with Taylor Swift. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And this happened in the Tom Brady era too. Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, and Deion Branch both won Super Bowl MVPs in games where Brady was okay in. He was so-so in those 2 matchups. So I think in a season where Mahomes statistically has been really more or less so-so, again, 1 game all year with 300 plus passing yards and 3 touchdowns. If Travis Kelce gets 100 yards and a touchdown in a lower scoring game where Mahomes is just okay, I think Kelce can win this award. It's 17-1 odds. I think this is a great bet and definitely one of my favorites that I'm going to be launching on when I watch this game.
You mentioned Taylor Swift there briefly, but fans do account for a portion of the voting for Super Bowl MVP online. You don't think every Swiftie who is watching this game is going to go vote for Travis Kelce? I don't. I think it's 20% is the fan vote and 80% come from actual football writers. But I mean, Taylor Swift has so many fans who are very online and who would love to vote him in that I would not be surprised if he even had a chance of winning, even if the Chiefs lost, just because of how massive that online vote could be for him. Joe, what do you think about that?
I think my daughters have already voted for him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if the voting is opened yet, but if anybody's going to find a way to get early voting, it's going to be my daughters. They're officially in the cult, and I'll be hosting a Taylor Swift birthday party at my house just 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. So that's going to be fun. I got to decide what era I'm going to dress up in, but still time to figure that out. Still time.
Yeah, I just think that fan base is so, rabid. And so, in the bag for Kelce that I actually think that even though it's only 20%, that could be enough to, if it's close, statistically, or, if Mahomes is really good and Kelce's both really good, I think that could easily put him over the top. If you guys need new tires for your car, Discount Tire is your go-to. They have exceptional service, and you get a 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com. They have this really cool feature called Treadwell, which is an online tire buying guide that gives you transparency on tire performance, as well as personalized recommendations based on your location and driving habits. Discount Tire is also the largest independent tire retailer in the country, so it has the biggest selection of tires and wheels. And here's a pro tip from the experts at Discount Tire. You can prevent wear and boost gas mileage by keeping your tires properly inflated. Tire pressure supports the weight of your vehicle and is important to check for safety. So if it's been over a month since you last checked your tire pressure, stop by one of their local stores for a free tire safety and air pressure check. Discount Tire. Let's get you taken care of. Joe, what is your number 1 prediction for the Super Bowl?
Well, the last few weeks I have been very clear about the thing that the Chiefs needed the most was to be the underdog. It's hard to be at the top of the mountain. So many years, over and over again. Erickson knows what that's like. He's always at the top of that mountain. People are always gunning for him. And I think sometimes it takes a mental toll on you a little bit. And I think the best thing that could happen to the Chiefs was to have a cold weather game against the Dolphins, remind them, kind of remind themselves who they are. And now to go on the road 2 weeks in a row in the playoffs and beat a Ravens team that, again, everybody thought this was their year. I think it's good. I think it was healthy for them mentally to chase a little bit. I think they forgot what it's like to be the chaser, and they've been the chasey for so long. So I know Erickson was throwing out there, not a lot of good Mahomes games. I think Mahomes might have a special one here. I'm going to go for, that's right, very bold, 3 touchdown passes. That's right. I know they're going to run the football a little bit. I think Mahomes has not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdown passes in him. And I want to bet on Patrick Mahomes for MVP. Plus 135 is the mark you're getting for him right now. And that's a really good wager. So if you like even the Chiefs to win this game on the money line, kind of looking at it right now, the better bet in terms of your return on investment is just to bet Mahomes for MVP, because you're getting a better number on that than you are the Chiefs even winning. And some places will let you put those two things together. Some places will not. So if you want to put them together, that's great. And kind of parlay them as a little skinny parlay and say, this is my narrative. This is what I'm going in for. And the reason why I am where I am with the Chiefs is this. The 49ers, although a very good football team, Christian McCaffrey, fantastic weapon, Hall of Fame player. Let's not forget that after that Eagles game, the 49ers really haven't been tested. The one time they were, it was against your Ravens, and the Ravens beat the tar out of them. In the first round of the playoffs for them, or should I say second round of the playoffs, actually after the bye, they barely hung on against the Green Bay Packers, who should have won that football game, against a young quarterback who really wasn't even supposed to be there. Then they struggled in the first half of that game against Jared Goff and the Lions. Now, give credit to the Lions, they're a good football team, but still, they were getting their butt kicked in the second half, and without the help of Dan Campbell mismanaging some of those moments, they might not even be going to the Super Bowl. Both those games were at home. Call me crazy, but I have not been impressed by what I've seen out of Brock Purdy or the 49ers in terms of consistency. They have come out the victors. They have shown some heart in the second half of games. But if you get down to the Chiefs and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and that Spagnuolo defense, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. I think it could be a long day at the office for them. So give me the Chiefs to win. Give me Mahomes to MVP and another ring in the infinity gauntlet that is the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
Yeah, Erickson, I know that you are not on board with the 3 passing touchdowns for Mahomes. What do you think about I think he's plus 380 to rush for a touchdown. Has not rushed for a touchdown all season, but just think about like Andy Reid, in the Super Bowl, breaking out something that you haven't seen all year. I feel like that's actually a sneaky good bet. What do you think about that one?
I love that one. I've already bet anytime touchdown for Mahomes when it comes to rushing. Like, that's how I'm hoping he does it. The first touchdown, the last time these two teams played, was Mahomes' rushing touchdown. So
I didn't even know that.
I think it could happen again. So again, I know that Joe likes the first touchdown for McCaffrey. If you want really long shot odds, you go with Mahomes. Again, regression to the mean. He's rushed for more yards and more attempts than ever in a career in this past season. He has 0 touchdowns to show for it. So it doesn't make any sense. And I know this blows up my Travis Kelce MVP if Mahomes scores a rushing touchdown, but hey, you got to balance the bets somewhere. So
Joe, before we get out of here, what betting pro shows do you have coming up on the feed for the Super Bowl just the rest of the week?
What betting pro shows don't we have? I think is the easier question right now. The top 10 bets video I just sent out, that should be dropping soon. We've also got our Super Bowl contest over on Betting Pros on the app too that you can join. So go check that out. Download the app. Go join the Super Bowl contest. But Erickson and Welsh and I are going to break down the props tomorrow. And it's going to be a lot of Super Bowl talk and a lot of Super Bowl fun. Plus Fitz and Erickson and myself are going to break down the game itself right after this. So lots of fun times going on. Go check out the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now, because this show's basically over.
Definitely go check that. Erickson, you got some short form videos coming as well over there?
Yeah, just my top 6 Super Bowl bets. So they're going to be player props, MVP, anytime touchdown, just kind of a smorgasbord of things I'm going to be sweating during the game while I'm eating wings, hot wings.
Can you
sweating
spell
bets,
smorgasbord?
Hot wings.
I bet you can't.
Smorgasbord? No, I don't even know how to spell it. Is there a hyphen in there?
SMORGAS board? I think that's right. I don't know.
I guess that's why I asked.
Put it in the comments. Smorgasbord.
I'm with you on the wings, Erickson. Wings and buffalo chicken dip are the musts. Joe, what's your snack of choice?
Well, the high school here does a fundraiser every year at Super Bowl for Krispy Kreme donuts. So I'm going to tell you right now, we will be getting 2 dozen Krispy Kremes. The chocolate nice. And the cream filled will be at the house. So that has become the new Super Bowl tradition over the last couple of years, and I like it. It's good.
Very nice. We will be wrapping up here, dreaming of wings and buffalo chicken dip and donuts as well. For Joey P and Erickson, I'm Ryan Wormeli. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Check out Betting Pros for all the Super Bowl coverage you could ask for. We'll get out of here and see you next week.